Hello, everyone. This is a new segment of News You Can Use. Today, I'm just going to focus on the ADA. There is a very good article on the topic. So I think that's what I will do is dedicate this News You Can Use for the ADA, a brief ADA update or clarification on the ADA and how much it has been helping us. So this article comes from Planet Tizen. The article was written by Diana Lone School. And you might ask, why are you telling us where it comes from? And that's so important to recognize the author, to let you know that I did not write this information, and to thank the author for providing this information to us so we can have discussions, so we can put in our input to the article, help her spread her presence in these areas. So she writes about spaces, physical spaces and buildings. So she's very passionate about it. So Diana, thank you for that. And we're going to use small pieces in this video here on YouTube to have a discussion, have some updates on the ADA, and how it has been helping us. So the title of this article is ADA Compliance Slowly Makes Headway. So decades of advocacy are paying off, but it often takes legal action to force cities to make accessibility improvements mandated by the Americans with Disabilities Act over 30 years ago. So this is a really important point, because if we did not have this law, none of what I'm going to read to you would have happened. None of, a lot of things that we enjoy today would have never happened without the ADA. So, and that includes not only wheelchair users, but a lot of other people who have a disability, whether it is mobility, whether it's vision, whether it's balance, whether, you know what I'm talking about. So now, as back to the article, yet in the decades since its passage, many cities have failed to upgrade their public infrastructure to comply with the ADA requirements. For many people with disabilities, getting around American cities remains a challenge that can prevent them from getting to jobs, medical appointments, or other daily needs. For people with mobility, vision, or other impairments, simply navigating the public realm can be difficult and dangerous endeavor. While able-bodied people may be able to nimbly maneuver around on obstacle-blocking walkway or broken sidewalk, others are forced to put themselves in the path of traffic or make long detours. Meanwhile, as of 2020, less than 1% of single-family homes were move-in ready for a resident using a wheelchair. Now, as a disability rights advocates around the country take legal action against cities to force changes, the public realm is finally becoming more accessible to all, thanks to the hard work of people who call attention to the urgency of the issue. Here's a roundup of recent ADA compliance victories. So this is my favorite part of the article, and these are certainly big victories. It might take a bit for them to implement them, but fingers crossed it'll happen sooner rather than later. New York City must make 95% of subway stations accessible via elevators. In the Los Angeles, an investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office revealed that Union Station, the city's downtown transit hub, the largest passenger railroad terminal in the western U.S., and an architectural crown jewel, is not readily accessible to and usable by individuals with disabilities. A lawsuit is forcing the city of Philadelphia to add or improve 10,000 curb cuts over the next 15 years, which I had reported on earlier. Last month, the city's Southern Eastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority contracted with a design firm to install accessibility upgrades at 3 of their subway stations. So they're moving along. Accessibility doesn't just mean ramps. In Chicago, a federal judge ruled that the city must install accessible pedestrian signals, APSs, at crosswalks to improve mobility for people with vision impairments. The city also lacks accessibility accommodations at roughly 2/3 of its elections polling stations. As a result of lawsuits, 4 Michigan cities will make ADA upgrades to their intercity rail station. Imagine that. Michigan, you're going to be busy. Asheville, North Carolina approved an expansive ADA compliance plan in October of 2022, dubbed Close the Gap, that identifies priority areas for the ADA improvements. A pandemic-era road closure in Washington, D.C. Rock Creek Park, made permanent last November, has been hailed as a victory for universal accessibility. So those are the upgrades that are being done and due to the ADA. So, and due to people speaking up and due to the cities, you know, some of these cities have recognized, like Asheville, North Carolina, approved an expansion of the ADA compliance. So that's a city that's not being sued. So I don't understand why we have to sue people to make things happen, but we can sue, we can bring people to court because of the ADA. So I don't have to explain how important this law is for all of us, but that's the importance of speaking up and encouraging stores and agencies and vendors to make sure that their areas are accessible for us because, quite frankly, we're customers and we also have money and we have needs. And so every time we can't get into their facilities, they lose. We can go somewhere else, which is a little bit of a hassle, but that agency or that organization or that sales place loses out. So, the trains will lose out if we can't ride them, airplanes, it's some of that and all of it. So I thank you, Diana, for writing this because it gives us time to discuss it, time to talk about, in our own cities, neighborhoods, and regions of what's going on and where do we need to help push the ADA to happen. We're hoping that, cities will just do it on their own and say, hey, this is not right. We want the, wheelchair users and people who are blind or people who have balance issues to be able to get through our city safe and sound. But it doesn't always happen that way. So, unfortunately. So we have this article to comment under News You Can Use and see what your thoughts are on the ADA and how you can help expand the ADA, encourage vendors, agencies, services to be ADA compliant for their sake and for ours.